Hello everyone, I am Idona John Baptist with the Channel 5 News in the headlines. Opposition leader Lennox Linton wants opposition parties involved in critical issues being deliberated upon by CARICOM heads. Financial Intelligence Unit investigates man arrested on suspicion of money laundering with over $500,000 in his possession, and a challenge to the Bureau of Standards to raise the bar on the quality of imported roofing materials. The details of the news after this.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, galvanized and fenced pipe. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Welcome back. First up, civil engineer Stephen Astafan is throwing a challenge to the Dominica Bureau of Standards to set clear guidelines on specifications for imported screws and roof sheeting. Astafan said this would guide builders and homeowners in adhering to building standards.
The other thing we have to look at seriously, where the Bureau of Standards need to get in, is need to determine the specification of the screws and sheeting coming in, because the more you get out there is the more you get knowledge. Yes, it may be 24 gauge, but the color coded on it is very important, because there are different ISO specification and the different specification. Some of them are good in UV protection, some are not. Some are good in scratch protection, but not good in UV. So it is necessary to get the specifications on the materials coming in.
On the issue of monitoring what merchants import, Astafan's advice is that we must be aware of what is suitable to our conditions.
I wouldn't call it inferior material. There are different specifications of material. It's like buying a car. You can buy a Toyota, you can buy a Mercedes-Benz, but there is a minimum standard. So you have to decide whether this standard is adequate for our conditions.
He says his preference would be roof sheeting out of Guadeloupe because of its quality standards.
When I do roof construction, I predominantly use only the sheeting out of the French West Indies, which is out of Guadeloupe. You understand? I am confident that what we are getting is high quality European standard material, and the difference in price is not that exorbitant compared to what we are getting from neighboring islands. But again, like I said, this is up to the research to be done by the Bureau of Standards. Everybody has to play their part. The Bureau of Standards has to play their part. The planning department has to play their part. The normal consultants have to play our part. The professionals have to play their part.
The search of one man's vehicle by police has yielded a significant sum of euro currency equivalent to just over $500,000. The Financial Intelligence Unit, FIU, is currently investigating this matter. Law enforcement officials say money laundering is suspected in the discovery which was made in the Makoshui area early Wednesday morning. Police Public Relations Officer Sergeant Simon Edwards released the following statement on the matter.
Officers of the Drug Squad Unit of the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force arrested one male individual on suspicion of money laundering after a search of his vehicle was conducted and a sum of money was discovered in a bag in the vehicle. The incident occurred at Makoshui at 5:25 a.m. on Wednesday, the 18th of July, 2018. The individual, the vehicle, and cash were brought to police headquarters. The sum of cash, which was in European currency, was tallied in the presence of the individual and totaled €187,245, which is equivalent to Eastern Caribbean currency $561,735. The investigations are ongoing.
Construction of a new state-of-the-art Goodwill Secondary School is expected to get underway this year. That's according to Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Chandler Hyacinth. Over the years, there's been talk of a new Goodwill Secondary School. However, no visible moves had been made in that direction. Hyacinth says a contract is being finalized with the Chinese government to undertake the construction of a new Goodwill Secondary School.
Yes, we're going to start. First, we have to start with the demolition. So we have to start with the demolition first, and then we will see with the construction of the schools once we have finalized our agreements with the Chinese.
And we're on the same site?
Yes.
That's right. We'll start demolition before September?
Yes, of course, long before September, hopefully.
There are other schools to be constructed by the government of the People's Republic of China, but the PS said she was unable to disclose those schools at the time of the interview.
The Chinese government, who is going to facilitate the reconstruction of some of our schools, including the Goodwill Secondary School. We are working with the Chinese in those regards. Many of the schools that they're going to build for us are brand new schools. So we are hoping that where we do reconstruction, we will be building smart schools.
The Canadian government has also come on board to help with the refurbishment of some school plants. The names of the schools have also been withheld until all the details are sorted out. In more news, 2 of Dominica's world-class musicians are among 6 to receive the prestigious Golden Drum Awards next month. Andrea Louis explains.
Dominica's songbird Michael Henderson, who began singing professionally at age 15 and has been in the entertainment business for several years, prolific keyboard player and one of the originators of bouyon music, Cornell Fingers Phillip, veteran calypsonian Julian Superior Picky Lockhart in the calypso arena for over 50 years, Aileen Burton, who has been promoting Dominica's traditional wear and dance and founded the Roseau Cultural Group, Jeno Jacob of Grand Bay, who writes short stories and poems and who has won the Independent Short Story Competition for several years, and Donovan Samuel of Point Michelle, a ballet drummer who works with the St. Luke's Primary School and is also a member of the Roseau Cultural Group. These are the 6 to receive the Golden Drum Awards set for Saturday, 4th August. Chief Cultural Officer Raymond Lawrence explained the criteria for choosing Golden Drum awardees.
First of all, you have to be over 20 years involved in culture, some aspect, and 20 years is a long time, you know, so, because sometimes you find people come 1 or 2 years and then that's it for them, they're not there anymore, but people who have sort of endured and have persevered. The second one is you have to have been made some kind of positive impact in Dominica, in your area. Impact in the sense of having had some kind of influence, whether it's in the schools, whether it's in the communities, whether it's in around entire Dominica. And then overall, we feel too that sometimes people have even more than one quality or one area that they work in. Some of them work in several areas as well. They're multi-talented, multi-skilled, and all of those things we look for as well.
Special recognition awards will be given to the Posse Culture Pan from Portsmouth, St. Luke's Primary School in Point Michelle, Castle Bruce Secondary School, the Paybush Drummers, Fernella Prosper, Fidit Soufriere, and Jacinta Bruni of the Kainago Territory.
Special recognition award we give to people who don't yet have 20 years in culture, but they are already making an impact, and you sort of want to recognize them in a way. So that's why it's called a special, not a golden drum yet, but it's just a recognition to say, well, we recognize the potential and the talent and the contribution that we've been making.
The Golden Drum Awards ceremony forms part of emancipation celebrations which are being held under the theme Building a Culture of Unity.
And this year we've selected the theme Building a Culture of Unity, which is like a follow-up to last year's theme, which was building a culture of peace. Because we feel peace, unity, love, all those positive aspects are things that should prevail in any country. And unity, which is what we are appealing for and trying to promote this year, is so important that we work together as a people. And of course, we realize that we all have differences of opinions and so, but it doesn't mean that we cannot still work together.
Emancipation celebrations run from 27th July to 4th August. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
Coming up on the Channel 5 News, police officers receive training for ballistic specialists. That and more when we return.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001 275-5003 today.
Thank you for staying with us. Opposition leader Lennox Linton sees as necessary opposition parliamentarians' inclusion in CARICOM heads' deliberations. The matter came up at a press conference of CARICOM heads after their 39th regular meeting in Jamaica earlier this month. Secretary General of CARICOM, Erwin Larrock, responding to a question on opposition leaders being invited as observers to such meetings, said that has not been considered. Although he said there were meetings among opposition leaders and CARICOM heads 15 years ago in St. Lucia. Mr. Linton says there are critical issues which he believes naturally should involve opposition's input at the CARICOM level.
You take a matter like climate resilience or sustainable development and the conversations that are going on at regional level as to what should happen territory by territory. It's good for the opposition parties to be on board in those discussions, especially at the level of the parliamentary opposition, because today, tomorrow, the government changes in the democratic process. Then we don't have a slowdown in momentum. We will have opposition parties coming into government that already been familiar with some of the fundamentals of policy determination on critical issues that affect the countries and the region by extension. And so rather than get on this learning curve when you get into government, because when you were in opposition you were left out, you know what's happening with institutions like CARICOM, with institutions like the OECS, with all of the initiatives that they're pursuing in the interest of one people, one nation across the region.
Linton said for the advantage of a party in opposition taking over the reins of government, it would already be familiar with CARICOM decisions.
That would give us the benefit of not having to slow down when a change of government comes, because all of the critical issues would almost like be shared. And we don't have this thing about one party building up and the other breaking down, especially where you're dealing with serious issues on which there need to be regional collaboration. So yes, I welcome the sentiment that the opposition parties need to be more involved, because that has always been a concern that we have had.
The opposition leader said even locally there should be a more bipartisan approach to policies.
And we have always argued that the role of opposition needs to be taken more seriously, especially where it concerns oversight and the scrutinizing of what government has promised to do versus what it is doing, versus and insofar as it concerns the whole question of the government's stewardship of public finances and the government's policy direction in terms of what is considered good for the general growth and development direction of the country. That there needs to be alternate views, there needs to be opposition input in a lot of the policy measures that are being pursued.
The Dominica Consumer and Protection Association will zero in on Taru to pilot a West Coast solid waste management project. The Global Environment Facility Small Grants Program is funding the project. The DCPA hosted a consultation at St. Joseph on Wednesday to seek input from stakeholders on proposed ideas for the project. Aside from Taru, the project will extend to other West Coast communities.
We want to promote the idea of composters for individual houses. So the idea is to give you your own composter, that you can generate your own compost and use your compost to do what you have to do with it, to grow your vegetables or put to your fruits. The other concept is we have recycling in the program where we need to separate our waste. So we're going to be doing waste separation, bottles, tins, plastic. How do we manage it? How we can utilize those things? How we going to use your tires? You see, so we have all the waste streams that you can itemize, and you can actually select some of them that we can work towards recycling and reuse and composting.
The Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation has endorsed the project by the non-governmental organization.
Taru as a small community for us is important that it was chosen as a pilot community, and we are looking for the separation of waste at source. We hope that this will be encouraged in communities, the separations of your cans, your plastics, your breakable bottles, and also encourage composting. We have always said, and we continue to say, that it is important that we compost as much as possible. About 45% of waste coming into the landfill is compostable in nature. And why should all this compostable waste come into the landfill? Right? It causes the trucks to make more trips to the landfill. It causes the landfill, which is already filled to capacity, to be more filled. It causes stench and odor and leachate, which is the corrosive liquid that oozes from the trucks, to be dropped onto the roadways, and the smell is very obnoxious and smelly. Thus, it is important that we compost as much as possible. The banana peels, the dashing peels, the fish guts, the chicken skins, these should not come to the landfill, and we are happy that Taru will be exemplary in this venture.
And Dominica's law enforcement officers have received advanced training on double casting techniques for local law enforcement ballistics specialists.
The training, held earlier this month in St. Kitts and Nevis, was delivered by CARICOM's Implementation Agency for Crime and Security Impacts. The training was funded under the 10th European Development Fund project, EDF. It was reportedly consistent with international standards and was conducted by a UK-based company specializing in ballistics intelligence. A CARICOM press release says, using the double casting process, national authorities will be able to create and send replicas of the original ballistic evidence across borders in quick time to link gun crimes while keeping the original evidence and maintaining chain of custody. According to a press release issued by CARICOM Impacts, open quote, more than 70% of murders in the region occur through the use of illegal firearms, close quote. The release says the training is meant to enhance the proficiency and competencies of national authorities to more effectively detect and solve gun crimes. Equipment was also donated to the Dominica Police Force to strengthen the state's capacity to scientifically investigate and prosecute gun crimes.
To end the news, the headlines again. Opposition leader Lennox Linton wants opposition parties involved in critical issues being deliberated upon by CARICOM heads. Financial Intelligence Unit investigates man arrested on suspicion of money laundering with over $500,000 in his possession. And a challenge to the Bureau of Standards to raise the bar on the quality of imported roofing materials. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Idona John Baptist. Thank you for watching. Join us again tomorrow.